our community. This is our home.
This is Pure O'Neill.
I'm Kendall.
I'm Trevor.
And I'm Zuri. We are the Eagle Junior News team in Mrs. Pistokan's reading class at O'Neill Elementary School.
Have you ever wondered how your community got started? This newscast will tell you how O'Neill started and many other fun facts.
Let's send it out to Tess and Hawa interviewing our special guest, General John O'Neill.
Thanks, Kendall. We are here at General John O'Neill's home. General O'Neill, tell us your story. How did you become the founding father of O'Neill?
I came from Ireland in 1848 and became a general during the Civil War. In 1873, I worked with Patrick Fahey to draw up plans for a new Irish community called Holt City. I talked to Irish miners in Pennsylvania about moving to Holt City in 1874. I brought several Irish immigrants back to O'Neill. Eventually, the name changed to O'Neill City, and that's how our town came to be.
How did you get people to follow you to O'Neill?
I told them that the land was great for farming. They could own their own land and be rich. Why would you want to stay in Pennsylvania when you could have your own Irish community in Nebraska? I said to them, my heart is with the Irish people. For this reason, I urge you to colonize and possess the land, and all other advantages will follow.
What businesses was the town of O'Neill known for?
One of the first businesses was a general store owned by Patrick Haggerty. The courthouse was built in 1886, as well as the O'Neill State Bank, which changed its name to the First National Bank. Other businesses over time that O'Neill was known for include M&M Bakery, Buzzy's Jalopy, the Golden Hotel, J.P. Mann's Clothing Store, Royal Theater, and so many more.
Well, General, it sounds like O'Neill was a real boom town. Thanks for sharing all that information. Now back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Tessa and Howell. Have you ever wondered about Moses P. Kincaid? O'Neill has a museum about him. But exactly who is he? For more on this story, let's send it out to Ashley and Brooklyn.
We are here today with Moses P. Kincaid. Mr. Kincaid, can you give us a brief history of your life?
I was born on January 24th, 1856 in Virginia. I became a lawyer, and in 1881 I moved to Nebraska. In 1887 I became a judge. I was voted in as Nebraska State Senator in 1883 and then went to Congress in 1902.
How did you change our community?
I have practiced law here for several years. As a judge, I have married couples. One thing I did was write the Kincaid Act of 1904. I actually started working on it in 1902, but it didn't get signed by President Roosevelt until 1904.
So tell us a little about the Kincaid Act.
The Kincaid Act gave us 640 acres of free land to the people who settled in Nebraska. They had to live on it for 5 years to own it. This act increased the number of farms in Nebraska from 1900 to the 1930s.
Thank you, Mr. Kincaid, for speaking with us today.
This is Brooklyn
and Ashley
sending it back to the studio.
The Irish Dancers are one group that helps keep our Irish heritage strong in O'Neill. Let's hear from our reporters, Taylor and Savannah.
Thank you for joining us today. Can you give us some background information on yourself?
Well, I moved to O'Neill when I was 4 months old, and I understand there was a blizzard that day. Of course, I don't remember it since I was 4 months old. I was an Irish dancer. They weren't called Irish dancers back in the day. Vivian is and I will send a picture around for you to look at, but she's the lady that I bought the business from back in 1995. And the reason was that she was 67 and wanted to retire. Ironically enough, I am now 66, and I'm retired. So I did it for 20 years, which was fun. And my daughter was a 6th grader, and that's really the reason that I was interested in going into the dancing. But prior to buying the dance business, I was just a homebody, raising children.
How did you become involved with Irish dancers?
Well, Mrs. Molina called and asked me if I would meet with her because she was interested in retiring. And so we met. I had been in dance. She founded it in 1954, but we weren't called the Irish Dancers until 1967. So she just started out at, having a little dance studio, and she had boys and girls, and the proceeds went to the hospital auxiliary, which were funds, to go towards the hospital. And then that changed, and I think a couple of years it went to the Boy Scouts and things like that. In later years then, they had a board of directors, and the board of directors had a fund, which is where the money from the dance review that we do in April or May of every year, where the funds would go into that for our traveling fund. And that's how we were able to afford to go to Washington, D.C., because I didn't ever take proceeds from people paying to go to the dance review. Let's see. So in 1967 is when Nebraska made O'Neill, Nebraska, the Irish capital of Nebraska. And Vivian Molina decided, well, maybe I should have Irish dancers. And so she learned Irish dance, which, by the way, is very difficult to do. You have to stay very erect when you dance, and you don't move your arms, do you, girls? And lift your legs really high, right? So that started in 1967, and we're still dancing on the Shamrock. When they paint the Shamrock, I always think, well, they do that for the dancers, because there isn't anything else that happens on the Shamrock. People have proposed marriage and things like that, but we actually perform on the Shamrock. And it's rain or snow or shine, we perform. I called Vivian that first year, and it was snowing like crazy, and it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and we perform at noon, and I went, what do I do? She said, well, you dance. I said, like, we can't move it to the gym? Well, how are you going to tell everybody that? Oh, well, then there's that. So we dance on the Shamrock. And we've danced in puddles and over snowdrifts and whatever, with no coats.
How did Irish dancing help change our community?
So I think that we became more involved when they made O'Neill the Irish capital and included the Irish dancers.
How have the outfits changed over time?
That's a funny question when I saw that in my notes. They didn't change until like 2 years ago. And they have been, as you will see in these pictures, the same that they were in 1967. And then Tiffany Shoemaker, who has bought the business from me, changed them 2 years ago.
Thank you, Kathy, for keeping the tradition of the Irish dancers of O'Neill alive. Let's send it back to the newsroom to learn some more about our community. KBRX Radio has been broadcasting for many years. To tell us about their history, let's give the spotlight to our reporter, Olivia Brady. We are here today with Scott Parisi, manager of KBRX Radio. Scott, can you give us a brief history of KBRX?
Sure. KBRX started in 1955, so we were 60 years old in 2015, and we actually started out as KVHC, which stood for Voice of Holt County. And then when we went to, we were only 250 watts, then we went to 1,000 watts in 1959, and we went to KBRX. Wow. And we've been KBRX ever since.
Okay. In what ways has KBRX helped our community?
Well, when Gil Posey bought the station in 1959, he said he wanted KBRX to be a place that everybody called for information. So if you lose your dog, we can put it on the radio and help you find your dog. If you have a news story, maybe you have an event coming up at school, we can put it on the radio and put it on our website so people know what's going on in our town. And we not only cover what goes on in O'Neill, but also all the other towns that are within about 50 miles of O'Neill. we cover. So we help everybody out with putting their sporting events on the radio, so in case grandma or grandma can't make it to the game because the weather's too bad, they can listen to it on the radio, and the news and the weather. We've been out there, like when there's tornadoes and stuff around, we have people out at the radio station continually giving updates so that we keep everybody safe in our area and they know what's going on. And that's kind of what we pride ourselves on, is kind of being the Google of O'Neill.
The Google. Google. Sweet. I Google all the time.
KBRX is known for their party line. How did that get started?
Well, the Party Line show actually started back in about 1956 after we've been on the air. And of course, newspapers have classifieds where they run ads in there, and the radio station decided that they should have a program where people can call in and maybe sell a cow or sell their tomatoes or their produce, or maybe if they're having a rummage sale, let people know what's going on at the rummage sale, or maybe they just got a helpful hint like how to get a stain out of some carpet or something like that. And the Party Line show was started primarily for that. It's been going now for just about 60 years, and I do the Party Line show now every morning, Monday through Friday at 9:35, and we take anywhere from throughout the year from about 7,000 to 8,000 different calls, and we also have about that many notes. So we really run a lot of different things on there, and we've sold everything from an artificial leg to we've sold even sold, like we said, cats and dogs and cows and pigs and a little bit of everything. So yeah, the Party Line show is here just for people to be able to use it as a way if they've got something they need to sell, or maybe they're looking for something too. They can give me a call and we'll help them find it, or we'll help them sell it.
What future changes do you see for KBRX in London?
Well, our technology has changed. We were back in, I can't remember how many years ago it was, we were kind of one of the first small radio stations to have a website. So we got right onto the internet when that happened because we knew that was going to be a way that we could connect with people. We also offer texting service now where people can text us information on their phone so they can text the radio station. Plus we're also we're an HD FM, which means in the near future if we wanted to add another channel to our FM station, we could add that, although right now a lot of the HD radios are only found in cars. So if you're ever in a big city and your mom or your dad or your grandma or grandpa has a newer car, you can actually see maybe KBRX FM1 and then KBRX FM2. So we do have the capability to add some other FM stations to our dial, but with the less amount of radios that we have in our area that are able to receive it, we haven't turned our other FMs on. But we're also starting to get now into doing some video stuff, and we see that with the internet and the websites and everything like that, that we're going to need to get into doing some video features too, and we're going to be adding that here just right away. So that's kind of some of our new things that we've got going on. And of course, KBRX has been here for 60 years, so we're planning on KBRX being here for another 60 years, and we're going to change with whatever people need, however they need to get their information. We're going to make sure that we get it for them.
Thank you for talking with us today.
This is Olivia
And Brady.
reporting from KBRX Radio.
Trevor, back to you in the studio.
Our reporters are out and about gathering advice for the future kids in O'Neill. Let's see who they're talking to.
Hi, my name is Alana and I'm here today with my grandma, Sandy Hafer. Grandma, tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, my name is Sandy Hafer. I have lived here in O'Neill for approximately 30 years. I have 2 children, Brian, your father, and his older sister, Candace. And I am a realtor with Farmers National.
How long have you been a part of our O'Neill community?
I have lived here since your dad was a baby, which has been about 30 years, and I love this community.
How has the community changed over the years?
Well, the community has changed we've gotten a new elementary school, we've added the tomato plant and the hail cannons, which is an asset as we no longer get hail damage to our homes. We no longer have the drive-in theater, but we have a lot more new businesses downtown, and I feel the town has grown.
What advice would you give to the future kids of O'Neill?
Study hard, stay in school, get a good education, stay away from drugs, work hard, be honest and fair, and treat people the way you want to be treated.
Okay.
How long have you been in our community?
I have lived in our community practically my whole life. I was born here. I went to country school outside of town. I graduated high school from O'Neill High School, so I'm a proud Eagle from day one. I left, went to college, and then I came back when I got my first job in Emmett, so I've been here a long time.
How has the community changed?
The community has definitely grown. I think there's been a lot of positive changes in the last few years. A lot more talk about jobs and opportunities for young people like you to do, especially now with Northeast Community College being in our area. We have a vibrant hospital that's growing and bringing in new people all the time, and of course our school. Our school is a wonderful school and a place to educate children, and this school here was not here when I was a young child. So lots of positive changes in our community.
What advice would you give to the future kids?
I would tell all kids to get an education. Education is important. When you go, whether you want to be a welder or a carpenter or a teacher or a doctor, go to school, learn those things, and come back to our community and do those things here so that we can all benefit from your learning experience. And to tell the kids to be proud of where they come from, be proud of living in O'Neill, and that it's such a wonderful place to grow up.
Hi, I'm here with Miss Melanie. How long have you been in our community?
I have family in O'Neill, so I visit here quite often. I moved here to do my student teaching over 30 years ago, so I've lived in O'Neill since then.
How has the community changed in your lifetime?
There have been lots of good changes in O'Neill. Lots of businesses have come and gone, and new businesses have come in. Main Street looks a little different. I think the community has grown with the tomato plant and some of that. It's a bigger town than it was. So most of the changes have been very good.
What advice would you give to the future kids?
Know that you're really lucky to live in a town like O'Neill. It's a great place to live. Get a good education here. Travel, learn, read about the world, and keep your roots in O'Neill. It's a good place to be.
Thank you for speaking with us, with Miss Melanie.
You're welcome.
My name is Dylan, and this is Mrs. Larson.
Yes, I'm Mrs. Larson.
Mrs. Larson, how long have you been a part of the O'Neill community?
The community? I moved to O'Neill when I was in the 6th grade, so I've been here a long time.
How has the community changed in your lifetime?
Oh, mercy, child. When I came, we had black and white TV. We did not have colored. And they were very heavy TVs. They weren't flat screened like they are now. We didn't have cell phones. We had a phone that had a receiver that you had to hang up on the side. And so the phones are different. We didn't have cell phones. Cars, our cars were really heavy. So when you were in a car wreck, you weren't as apt to get hurt as you are now, because the cars now are made out of a lot of plastic stuff. Okay?
What advice would you give the future kids of O'Neill?
The main thing is enjoy today, because when today's gone, we can't get it back. Okay? And be smart. Make wise choices. All right? Do not text when you drive. Drive and drive carefully. That would be my main thing, is to keep kids safe. All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetie.
This has been Pierre O'Neill on Eagle Junior News. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Living in O'Neill is magical.
Other businesses.
That's okay. Action.
Oh.
That's a blooper.
Thanks. Corley, could you scoot your head down and
Something that I notice kids doing a lot. When there's
O'Neill? Let's hear.
oh, we better do that one again. Ready,
I
take two, and
About gathering advice for the future kids of.
ready,
Wait,
and
the letters are moving.
we have them do. Can you throw it back to Corley?
Juggling.
Oh!